Have you ever stumbled upon something that looks familiar, yet feels distinctly different? An object that challenges your perceptions and invites you to look closer? Today, we're peeling back the layers of automotive history to uncover a true oddity, a car that wore a famous American badge but was a citizen of another country entirely. Get ready to explore the fascinating story of the 1958 Pontiac Parisienne, a rolling testament to innovation, economics, and a unique chapter in the General Motors legacy that was written not in Detroit, but north of the border. It's a car that, at first glance, might seem like just another gleaming relic from the chrome-laden 1952. But look closer. Notice the subtle differences, the unique proportions, the story whispered in its design. That American flag you see in the background of this photograph? It's a beautiful, yet wonderfully ironic piece of scenery. Because this magnificent automobile, this symbol of North American style, was never sold in the United States. This is a purely Canadian Pontiac, built for Canadians by Canadians, and its story is far more complex and captivating than you could ever imagine. So, buckle up as we journey back to 1958 and unravel the tale of a car that was, in every sense of the word, a beautiful imposter. A tale of two Pontiacs, the Canadian-American divide. To truly understand the 1958 Pontiac Parisienne, we need to rewind the clock and explore the unique automotive landscape of Canada in the mid-20th century. For those unfamiliar with this piece of automotive history, the Pontiacs you could buy in Canada up until the mid-1970s were fundamentally different vehicles from their American cousins. They shared a name, a family resemblance, and a place under the vast General Motors umbrella, but beneath the skin, they were two distinct species. During this era, Canadian Pontiacs were a clever and pragmatic hybrid. They boasted the stylish, eye-catching bodies designed by Pontiac, but these stunning shells were mounted atop the robust and proven chassis of a Chevrolet. This fusion extended to the powertrain as well, with Canadian Pontiacs being propelled by Chevrolet engines and transmissions. In some instances, as we'll discover with our feature car, they were even equipped with engines that were exclusive to the Canadian market, unless you were in the United States purchasing a medium-duty truck. But why this strange amalgamation? The answer lies in a combination of economics, market dynamics, and national pride. In the Canada of the 1952, Pontiac wasn't just another brand, it was the volume sales leader for General Motors. Surprisingly, it was Pontiac, not Chevrolet, that consistently outsold its sibling brand, making it a cornerstone of GM's Canadian operations. This popularity created a need for efficient, cost-effective production. The Canadian government at the time had a series of import duties, trade restrictions, and quotas designed to protect and encourage domestic manufacturing. This meant that simply importing fully assembled cars or a vast array of unique parts from the United States was prohibitively expensive. To remain competitive, General Motors of Canada had to establish a localized supply chain and maximize the use of Canadian-made components. The most logical solution was to create synergy between their two most popular brands. By sharing the fundamental architecture of the Chevrolet, its frame, suspension, and powertrains, with the stylish Pontiac bodies, GM could achieve significant economies of scale. This strategy streamlined the assembly process, simplified parts inventory, and ultimately allowed them to offer a competitively priced vehicle that appealed to Canadian tastes. It was a masterful stroke of corporate ingenuity, resulting in a car that offered the prestige and design flair of a Pontiac with the affordability and mechanical familiarity of a Chevrolet. Design deep dive, chrome, curves, and clever compromises. For the 1958 model year, the Parisienne stood proudly at the apex of the Canadian Pontiac lineup. It was, without a doubt, a breathtakingly beautiful vehicle, a true product of its time. As you feast your eyes on this magnificent machine, you can see its strong familial resemblance to the top-tier American Pontiac, the Bonneville. The flowing lines, the sense of motion even at a standstill, and the sheer presence of the car are all hallmarks of Pontiac's design language from this era. However, the discerning eye will quickly pick up on the subtle, yet significant, differences that betray its Canadian origins. The body is adorned with an abundance of chrome, stainless steel, and polished brightwork, a signature of late 52nds automotive design. This glittering trim accentuates every curve and crease, transforming the car into a piece of rolling sculpture. But the real story of its unique identity lies in its very foundation. To understand this, we need to talk about wheelbases. For 1,958, the American-built Chevrolets rode on a 117.5-inch wheelbase, which was a notable 2.5 inches longer than the 1,957 models. Meanwhile, their American Pontiac counterparts were even grander, boasting either a 121-inch wheelbase for models like the Catalina or an even more substantial 124-inch wheelbase for the luxurious Bonneville. This is where our Canadian Parisienne takes a fascinating detour. While it wears the extravagant side trim of the top-of-the-line Bonneville, those stunning spears and accents of brightwork that scream luxury, the Parisienne is actually built around the smaller Catalina body. And, because of its Chevrolet underpinnings, it rides on the shorter 117.5-inch Chevrolet wheelbase. This creates a subtle but noticeable visual quirk. If you look closely at the rear wheels, you'll see that they aren't perfectly centered within the wheel arches. They sit just a little too far forward. This is the telltale sign of a Pontiac body being adapted to a Chevrolet chassis. It's a charmingly funky element, a small compromise in the quest for production efficiency, and a dead giveaway to those in the know that this is no ordinary Pontiac. It's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about the car's unique heritage. An ode to 52nds flair, a design masterpiece. Now, for those of you who have been following this channel for a while, you'll know that I'm not always the biggest fan of the 1958 model year designs from General Motors. Cars like the Oldsmobiles and Buicks from that year, in my opinion, often veered into the territory of being overly ornate and somewhat garish. The 1958 Buick Limited, in particular, with its seemingly endless application of chrome, pot metal, and overwrought styling cues, is a design that has always struck me as excessive. It's simply too much. However, the 1958 Pontiac is a stunning exception to this rule. Despite being festooned with an equally impressive amount of brightwork, the Pontiac manages to carry it with an elegance and coherence that is simply breathtaking. I firmly believe it is one of the most beautiful automobiles that General Motors produced in that entire model year. The design is dominated by the magnificent rocket form that adorns the body side. This stunning visual element begins its journey far back on the rear quarter panel, streaking forward like a comet. It creates a natural separation for a two-tone paint scheme, with the trail of the rocket often painted in a contrasting color, like the brilliant white you see here, and then outlined in gleaming brightwork to further distinguish it from the rich, copper-colored body. This powerful visual line then leads your eye to the immensely long nose of the car, which seems to stretch on for an eternity, giving the vehicle a sense of power and forward momentum. If you look closely, just beneath the tip of that rocket's nose, you'll find a delicate script spelling out Parisienne, proudly announcing its status as the top-of-the-line model. This is precisely where the series name would be found on other Pontiacs in the lineup, a subtle but important piece of branding. The 1958 Pontiac Parisienne is a masterclass in how to use brightwork not just as decoration, but as a fundamental element of the design, creating a car that is both glamorous and graceful. The Pontiac hierarchy, from Pathfinder to Parisienne. One of the more humorous aspects of the 1958 Canadian Pontiac lineup, a trait it shared with its American cousins, was how the amount of brightwork directly correlated with the car's price and position in the hierarchy. As you moved down the model range, various pieces of chrome and stainless steel would mysteriously disappear. The Parisienne, as the flagship, was blessed with the full, unadulterated design. It had everything. The four small, non-functional vents just behind the front wheel arch, the magnificent full-length rocket trim, and the decorative stars embedded within the scalloped section of the rear quarter panel. It was the complete package. If a buyer opted for the next model down, the Laurentian, they would find their car slightly less adorned. The four fake vents behind the front wheel were gone. The Laurentian was still a handsome car, but it was missing that extra touch of flair. Furthermore, instead of 4 of those glittering stars in the rear quarter panel, the Laurentian owner had to make do with only 3. It was a subtle but clear visual downgrade, very much in the same vein as Buick's famous venti ports. The most expensive Buicks proudly displayed 4 of these portholes on their fenders, while the lesser models were given only 3. It was a clever marketing tactic that made it easy to identify the pecking order at a glance. Taking another step down the ladder brought you to the Strato Chief. The Strato Chief, as it was affectionately known. On this model, the designers took away the most dramatic piece of trim, the rocket itself. The stars remained on the rear quarter panel, but the signature streak that defined the side profile of the more expensive models was absent. Finally, at the very entry point of the 1958 Canadian Pontiac family was the Pathfinder. This was the most economical, no-frills model. On the Pathfinder, there were no stars, no rocket, and very little in the way of extraneous brightwork adorning the body sides. It was the purest, most unadorned expression of the basic design. Despite its simplicity, the underlying beauty of the car's lines still shone through. So, there you have it, the complete Canadian Pontiac lineup for 1958, from the humble Pathfinder to the luxurious Parisienne, a clear and glittering hierarchy of chrome, a face of authority, the front-end design. Let's now turn our attention to another stunning example of a 1958 Pontiac Parisienne, this one captured in the magical light of the golden hour. The lighting on this particular car is nothing short of spectacular, allowing us to truly appreciate the artistry of its front-end design. What an authoritative and beautiful face this car presents to the world. The design is dominated by a massive, wall-to-wall grille that emphasizes the car's considerable width. It's a statement of confidence and presence. Embedded within this grille is a delicate, loop-style brightwork trim that adds a layer of intricate detail to the overall design. It's a beautiful touch that prevents the large grille from appearing too heavy or monolithic. Now, for the truly astute observers out there, I want you to look closely. Find the letter C in the Pontiac script on the hood, and then let your eyes drift down to the grille below. On the previous copper-colored car, you would have seen a small V emblem nestled there. On this green example, that emblem is absent. There's a very good reason for this. This particular Parisienne is not powered by a V8. This is a 6-cylinder Pontiac. That's right. In Canada, you could walk into a Pontiac dealership and order their top-of-the-line luxury model with a 6-cylinder engine under the hood. Specifically, it was a 261 cubic inch inline-6, an engine that was not available in any passenger car in the United States. If you wanted this engine stateside, you would have had to purchase a medium-duty truck. For comparison, the standard 6-cylinder in an American Chevrolet of the same year was the smaller 235 cubic inch unit. So, the Canadian Pontiacs came standard with a larger, more robust 6-cylinder engine, a unique power plant for a unique market. The front end of the 1958 Pontiac is a symphony of design elements working in perfect harmony. The quad headlamps, for instance, were a relatively new feature at the time. In fact, 1958 marked the first year that quad headlamps were legally permitted in all 50 states. This is why you see a mix of dual and quad headlamp designs on some 1957 models, like those from Chrysler, as manufacturers navigated the changing regulations. By 1958, the path was clear for designers to fully embrace the quad headlamp look, and the Pontiac wears them beautifully. I particularly love how the shape of the headlamp bezels is mirrored in the brightwork trim within the grille, creating elegant housings for the parking lights and turn signal indicators. It's a thoughtful touch that demonstrates a high level of design cohesion. And we can't forget the aircraft-inspired strakes that run along the tops of the fenders, culminating in a beautiful piece of brightwork. These elements, combined with the masterfully sculpted hood with its distinctive central crease that becomes more pronounced as it approaches the front of the car, create a front end that is both imposing and exquisitely detailed. An interior oasis where style meets function. Stepping inside the 1958 Pontiac Parisienne is like entering a time capsule of mid-century modern design. Being the top-of-the-line model, the interior is lavished with beautiful brightwork and luxurious trim. Just look at this magnificent door panel. The brightwork on the upper portion is designed to look like a seamless continuation of the trim on the instrument panel. This creates a wonderful wraparound effect, an early and ambitious attempt to make the dashboard and door panels flow together into one harmonious design. This concept would fall out of favor for many years, only to be rediscovered and become a popular design trend in the 1992s and 2000s. It's amazing to see such a forward-thinking design element on a vehicle from the 1952s. The color combination in this particular car, a striking copper and white, is simply stunning. It exudes a sense of optimism and style that is so characteristic of the era. As you look closer, you'll notice more clues to this car's unique Canadian heritage. The accelerator and brake pedals, for instance, are not Pontiac-specific parts. They are borrowed directly from the Chevrolet parts bin, another consequence of the platform sharing that made these cars possible. I am also a huge admirer of how the design themes from the exterior are carried into the interior. Notice the strakes on the door panels. These lines continue into the rear seating area, creating a visual link between the front and back of the cabin. This strake motif is then echoed in the stitching pattern on the seats and even in the design of the armrests. This repetition of a single design element creates a sense of harmony and completeness. It also cleverly ties the interior design to the exterior, particularly to the theme of the vertical strakes we saw on the deck lid. It's a beautifully executed and cohesive design. The command center, a masterpiece of a dashboard. And now, let's take a closer look at what I believe is one of the most beautiful instrument panels ever created. The design is a masterful blend of round and linear forms. A slight hood arches over the primary gauges, providing a bit of shade and focusing the driver's attention. The gauges themselves are housed in beautiful round pods, surrounded by an expanse of gleaming brightwork. It is, quite simply, a work of art. It's hard to imagine a more elegant or visually interesting dashboard from this period. The astute observer will also spot the shift quadrant for the automatic transmission. The letters PRNDL are a clear indication that this car is equipped with a Power Glide transmission, the venerable 2-speed automatic from Chevrolet. This is another key difference from its American counterparts. A U.S.-built Pontiac would have been equipped with a more complex, hydromatic transmission. Interestingly, it seems that the Canadian Pontiacs were not offered with any other automatic transmission option aside from the Power Glide. In the U.S., buyers could also opt for the Turbo Glide, but in Canada, the Power Glide was the sole choice for those who preferred not to shift for themselves. This was likely a very pragmatic decision. The cast-iron Power Glide was a notoriously robust and reliable transmission. It was simple, durable, and got the job done. For anyone who has had the pleasure of driving a car from this era with a Power Glide, you'll surely remember the characteristic soft hum it makes when in park or neutral. It's a sound that is instantly recognizable and a wonderful part of the car's character. As we take one last look at this spectacular white and copper interior, it's hard not to be impressed. I truly can't think of a more finely or richly detailed vehicle in this price class from that era. The 1958 Pontiac Parisienne offered its owner a truly luxurious and stylish environment. Under the hood, a heart of a different breed. Now, let's get to the really exciting part. For all you gearheads out there, what's lurking under the hood of this magnificent machine? Powering this particular Parisienne is Chevrolet's 348 cubic inch V8 engine. The 348 was a brand new engine for 1958, making this its inaugural year. It would go on to have a successful production run through 1965, and most famously would serve as the foundation for the legendary 409 cubic inch V8, the engine immortalized in song by the Beach Boys. In 1958, the 348 was the largest and most powerful engine you could get in a Chevrolet and, by extension, in a Canadian Pontiac. The engine lineup for the Pontiacs in Canada was quite comprehensive. The standard engine, as we discussed, was the 261 cubic inch six-cylinder. From there, buyers could step up to the optional 283 cubic inch V8, available with either a 2-barrel or a 4-barrel carburetor. At the top of the performance pyramid was the mighty 348. This engine could be had with a single 4-barrel carburetor, as seen in this car, which produced a healthy 250 horsepower, or in a high-performance tri-power configuration with 3 2-barrel carburetors for even more grunt. The 348 V8 also had some unique design features. You'll notice the distinctive scalloped shape of the valve covers. This wasn't just a styling exercise. The valve train on this engine was offset, with the valves arranged in an up and down pattern. This unconventional design allowed the engine block to be shorter, which in turn gave the engineers more flexibility in packaging the engine into various vehicle platforms. Having a 348 V8 in a Canadian car was an exceedingly rare option. Even back in the late 1950 seconds and early 1960 seconds, gasoline was significantly more expensive in Canada than in the United States. As a result, the majority of Canadian car buyers were more economy-minded. They tended to stick with the standard, more fuel-efficient engines. This is precisely why GM of Canada offered smaller standard engines, like the 261 six-cylinder, that weren't available in the US market. So, if you are ever in the market for a classic Canadian-built car, don't be surprised by the relative rarity of vehicles equipped with the larger, optional engines. They are out there, but they are few and far between. To give you a personal example, I own a 1970 Chevrolet Impala that was built and sold in Canada. It was factory ordered with the big block 454 cubic inch V8. I have reason to believe it is one of only around 40 such cars sold in Canada that year with that engine. Finding a Canadian car with the top-tier performance option is like finding a needle in a haystack, and it makes this 348-powered Parisienne a truly special and desirable automobile. A Canadian classic. So, there you have it, the 1958 Pontiac Parisienne, a car that is so much more than the sum of its parts. It's a beautiful paradox. A car with the soul of a Chevrolet and the stunning good looks of a Pontiac. It's a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of General Motors of Canada, a company that navigated a unique set of economic and market challenges to create a product that was perfectly tailored to its customers. From its slightly off-center wheels to its exclusive six-cylinder engine option and its rare V8 power, the Parisienne is a car full of fascinating stories and charming quirks. It represents a time when the automotive world was not quite as globalized as it is today. A time when a car could have a distinct national identity. It's a reminder that sometimes the most interesting stories are found not in the mainstream, but in the footnotes of history. And now, I want to hear from you. What do you think of the 1958 Pontiacs, and the Parisienne in particular? Is this a design that speaks to you? How do you feel about the idea of a Pontiac built on a Chevrolet platform? And what about the engine choices? Would you prefer the torque of the Canadian exclusive six-cylinder or the V8 rumble of the mighty 348? Please, share your thoughts, your memories, and your opinions in the comment section below. Your insights and experiences are what make this community so special, and every comment helps us to grow and to continue to bring you stories like this. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a forgotten chapter of automotive history, please do us a huge favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you won't miss our next adventure into the fascinating world of classic cars. Thank you so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate you spending your valuable time with us. Until next time, keep the passion alive.